There are a lot of great indie authors who write really solid books. They've got quality stories. They've really invested in the story and their cover. They're releasing consistently and they're genuinely trying to market, and yet they're still struggling to make sales. Not because they lack talent and not because their books are bad books, but because no one ever shows them all the moving parts of selling books and how they all fit together. So today I want to show you the real reason this happens, and I'm going to walk you through the visibility flywheel that turns your effort into momentum and book sales. I am Narelle Todd, and I have coached fiction authors to more than 4 million ebook sales, and I help authors grow their business with confidence and without chaos. What I see again and again is this: authors are doing pieces of the right thing, but they are missing the structure that makes those things work together. Typically, what happens is authors will buy a short course over here and another one here and over here, and they might do a bit of a longer course here. But what they're actually missing is the framework that brings all those pieces together. And it's the framework or the flywheel that actually brings the momentum and the sales. So most indie authors are not failing. They're simply trying to sell books without a visibility system. They're posting here and tweaking there, and they'll be running something once and giving it a go because somebody told them that was a really great idea. And then they'll be stopping that and then doing something else over here. But the reason that the pieces are not coming together is because they're not connected and they're not within a framework that makes sense to the author or the genre that they work in. And what happens is that sales start to kind of flow, but then it will be fragmented and it won't be consistent. And that's where the author visibility flywheel comes in. So a flywheel is simple. Each part supports the next, and each rotation makes the next one easier. And then once it's moving, its momentum replaces your effort. So selling books works exactly the same way. Let me walk you through the 7 parts of the author visibility flywheel so that you can see how all the bits work together. So our first step is to create an experience, not just a book. Selling books is no longer just about a single title. Readers are buying your worlds. So they're buying your tone, your promise, the emotional continuity in your book. And this means that you need to do things like consistent branding, you need to have clear genre signals, and you need to create an immersive reader experience beyond the page. So when readers feel that they're stepping into something, not just reading something, everything else converts so much better. Let me give you an example. Imagine a story in book 1 where you have your main characters. You then have some minor characters who make an appearance. Book 2, those minor characters are now your major characters, and the major characters from book 1 now make a cameo appearance or some kind of appearance. What it does is you are cementing the links between the 2 books. You're making each book bigger than what they actually are, because readers are going, I love this couple, or I love this person from book 1, and here they are in book 2, and I get to see them a bit more and spend a bit more time with them. We know that readers embrace characters. We know that readers love to know more about characters, and you are actually giving them that opportunity. And you're doing it twice, which is pretty cool. You are not only showing them the characters, the main characters from book 1 in book 2, but in book 1, you showed your minor characters, so they got a sense of who they were. And then look, here they are as the main characters in book 2. You imagine the more books you read and the more you make these connections between the books, you are now not actually just writing a book in a series, you're actually writing books in an interconnected world. And that connection is what draws readers back to the series. A great example in the movie world here is Disney. If you think of superheroes, what's happening there is that we often see superheroes from other movies appear in movie, and then they'll be, say, in the same comic strip, or they will be in the merchandise together. In effect, what's happening is that we are linking the characters together, and that broadens both those characters' appeal. So think of it in that way, that not only are you telling this story, but you're telling the story or starting to tell the story of other characters that will appear later in your series. Step 2 is to know your business model. So most authors never stop to answer this question, which is, how am I actually planning to make money from my books? Now, I know that you would say, well, I'm going to sell my books. That's how I'm going to make my money. And of course, that's true. But what we're looking at here is, what is your business model for that? How are you going to frame how you're going to do the selling? And by that, I mean things like, are you going to sell wide? Are you going to do direct sales from your own store? Are you going to sell through Kindle Unlimited? Are you going to do rapid release? Are you going to do an email first strategy? Different models in your business actually require different decisions. And this is where, when you know what your business model is, you then know, well, these are the broad activities I need to do within this business model. For example, what you do in Kindle Unlimited is slightly different to what you're going to do if you're selling wide. If you know that beforehand, it takes a lot of the pressure off, because you know, well, these are the activities that I need to just constrain myself to, because these are the ones that work within my business model. It actually helps you with your clarity around what your marketing is, which makes your marketing then not random, and instead it's quite thoughtful and thought through. Step 3 is to know your reader avatar, or to know who your reader is. We also can call that the ideal reader. You cannot market your books to all readers. This is often what authors will say when I ask, well, who are your readers? And who would read your books? And they will say, everyone. It's really hard to market to everyone. Instead, you want to market to your readers, or your ideal reader, or your reader avatar. What's involved here is that there are genre expectations from your readers. If you are writing in a certain genre, they will expect certain things from you. If you do not deliver, they will let you know in their reviews. When you know who your readers are, you know their buying habits, you know the sorts of things they're interested in, you know where to find them, you know where they will be, you know what social media channels they use. You know what their emotional triggers are. And when you know these sorts of things, it means that everything that you do is going to improve, because you can target it to your readers. So your blurbs are going to improve because you're going to target to your ideal reader. Your emails are going to resonate better with your subscribers because you're targeting it to your ideal reader. Your ads are going to convert better because the imagery and the words that you use are targeting your ideal reader. This is foundational to setting up your business, knowing who your ideal reader is. Now, you may say, well, if I focus on this group of people, then that means everybody outside of that is not going to read my books. That's not the case. It simply means that you are going to focus on your core group, or your ideal readers, get them engaged with you, get them buying on a regular basis whenever you release a new book. They're going to buy your backlist. And as you do that, you then come from a stronger place, because you've got income coming in. It's consistent. You know that. You've practiced your copywriting with your wording. Your blurbs are really dialed into the genre. Then you can go outside of that ideal reader group and start to expand your readers to those who may fit outside your particular genre, but still like to read what you write. So it doesn't mean that you're going to miss other people or miss readers. It simply means that you are going to convert sort of like the hot group first, people who are avid readers of your genre. We call it a hot audience. They're going to be your core group, and then you're going to expand out to the warm group, people who may not read that genre all the time but don't mind reading it. you will expand out into them. Once they get to know you and they like your books, they will then, of course, become one of your ideal readers. So, having knowledge of your ideal reader means that you are then able to put in place your copywriting, you can test your marketing so that when you do expand, you come from a really good place and a place of strength and resilience. Step 4 is to build a subscriber list and actually use it. I know few authors who have a list but never actually email their list, which is slightly redundant. So, as your subscriber list is more than actually a vanity metric. And I know that we love to have big numbers. You know, there are 15,000 on my email list, there's 1,000 on my email list. The numbers on who's on your list doesn't matter as much as how engaged is that list. If your list of 1,000 readers are really engaged with you, that can actually have more power than a list of 15,000 who are kind of ambivalent towards you. What you want to do with your list is engage with them. You want to be able to know when you email them that they will buy your book, that they will take the action, whatever it is that you ask within your email. And you're going to create that by building a relationship with them. And you're going to be consistent in how you email. And by that, I mean that you may be emailing once a day, once a week, once a month, but it's the consistency of that. If readers know that you email once a month, then they will be expecting you to show up once a month. And the same if you email once a week or once a day. This is about consistency more than anything, and that's one of the things that readers look for. How consistent are they? And what's happening in your emails? Is all you're doing selling at me, or are you also offering some other fun stuff in there? And it's nice to have that kind of split between emails where they're all not just about selling, that there's other things in there that apply to you, gives them a fresh insight into who you are as an author. We know that readers love to peek behind the curtain, so you may show, this is what my desk looks like, this is what I'm writing on, and here's a bit of a snippet from a work in progress. That sort of thing really kind of is a personal connection between you and readers because, you know, it's a bit of an exclusive, it's a behind the scenes. They got to see it, nobody else did because they're on your list. Having a list also means that you get to control that data. So when a reader buys at a retail store, you don't know who that reader is. You don't have any information about them apart from the fact that you sold a book. When you have an email list, you have their name, their email, sometimes where they live, what country they're in, so you can really create specific campaigns to that reader. And that's what starts to build the connection with your readers and yourself. This is starting to make sense and you are starting to see places where you need to go deeper and really own the process, then this is exactly what we build inside your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system. We map it to your books, to your genre, and to your capacity so that selling stops feeling accidental. It actually becomes intentional and you actually start to make consistent sales. The link is below if you want to know more. Step 5 is social media. So this is where you get to be focused and consistent and intentional once again with the activities that you take on 1 to 2 platforms. Now, I say 1 to 2 because that's typically all you can do at this stage as you're discovering more about each one of these platforms. You need to go deep into the platforms to see what marketing opportunities they can offer you. For many authors out there, I see that they will post on Instagram or Facebook, but that's all they're doing. One of the things that we're discovering at the moment, I'm working with my mastermind group through Instagram, and we looked at our Instagram profiles, and there are at least 10 places in there that you need to optimize so that you can actually sell more books. And it's taken a couple of weeks just to work through just that one component, just the profile itself. And we haven't even got into the nitty gritty of all the rest of Instagram with reels and stories and posts. And this is what I mean when I say you need to have a look at 1 to 2 channels, make them your marketing channels, your main social channels, and learn all you can about them and how they will work for your business. And then go and set them up and then allow them time to actually work. So you need to start to build patterns that your audience will start to recognize on your socials. And then remember that depth beats breadth every time. If you're stretched across a whole number of social channels, but you're not actually tapping into everything that social channel offers you, I would suggest to you that you just go and focus on 2 channels and really go deep on them, because it's the depth that's actually going to help you with your sales. Let's look at step number 6, which is your metadata and your back matter. So this is where many good books quietly fail. If your keywords are off, your books are invisible. You need to use the tools that are available to you. There's some great software out there that helps you look at, well, what are the keywords that I need to use in my book? And then you're going to use those keywords in things like your blurb. You're going to use them, if you're on Amazon, in things like your Amazon A+ material. You're going to continue to use the keywords throughout different aspects of that. If you're selling wide, you're going to use the keywords where you can in your Barnes & Noble and your Kobo profile as well. So it's important that you get your keywords right, that you actually worry about your keywords, and that you do research on them and that you then use them. Of course, you can also use those keywords in your ads, whether they're Amazon ads or Facebook ads or some other kind of ad. So your keywords really are important for you to get right. When it comes to your back matter, it has 2 main purposes. One is to get readers onto your email list, and the second is to encourage the next sale. So you are going to be very specific. You are going to make a very obvious call to action to get that reader onto your email list. And it will be similar to like you would with a lead magnet. You're going to offer them something as a reward for signing up to your email list. This could be something like a second epilogue or an extended epilogue or missing scenes or some kind of thing that you can deliver electronically depending on your genre. An example would be oracle cards. If you're in fantasy or paranormal, those work well. So what you're doing is getting their email, but you're also working in creating that world that we spoke of earlier, because you're deepening their sense of connection with the characters and with your world. You're expanding that out a bit more. The second purpose is getting people to buy the next book or to take action on the next book. So let's say the next action is a pre-order for a book that you have coming out. Then it would be to hit the pre-order button and do that. Or if your book is already out, then it would be to buy the next book in series, or it could be to buy a book that's connected to that book but in a different series. So there are very 2 clear call to actions that we offer. Then you can go into your regular back matter. Now, this setup is a little bit different to what you would expect and what a lot of authors do, because they're following a more traditional way of doing their back matter. But what they're actually doing is leaving money on the table, because they're not collecting information about their readers and they're not asking for the next sale. So you are going to very deliberately make a call to action for the sale. Your back matter is going to point clearly to what the next steps are. The reader signing up for your email and for the sale or the pre-order or some other action that you want to have happen. Step 7 is Facebook ads. So these ads help to amplify what's already working. So this is why you need steps 1 through 6 to be working. Ads are not going to fix something that's broken or that's not working. If you don't have a system in place, ads are not going to help with that. So you need to get your steps 1 through 6 set up and organized. You will feel much more confident in yourself because you know you've got your foundations right. Then you can run your ads and start to see the sales come in from your ads. Ads will help you scale It will help you stabilize your sales. And it also removes some of that financial pressure because even though you're paying for ads, you also are seeing money come back in from ads when you do them right. But remember that without the foundations in place, you're just going to burn money. So if ads have not been working for you before, it could well be that steps 1 through 6 are the reason for that. So the flywheel is the key for how all these pieces all fit together. So each part supports the next. Your experience is going to feed into your reader relationship. That reader relationship is feeding into your email, and your email feeds into your sales, and your sales feeds into your ads because you have money to run ads. And the ads, of course, are going to sell more books, so you then have more money in order to put back into your business. All of these things help your visibility. Nothing here is random. Everything is intentional because you have your flywheel set up and in place. The reason most authors struggle is not because they're bad at marketing. It's because no one actually shows them that whole system and how all the pieces actually all work together. What usually happens is that authors are handed tactics, but they're all like, here's a tactic, here's one, here's one, here's one. We don't actually all bring it together and put it into one place so you can see how it all works together. And it's because it all works together that that's how the sales actually happen and become intentional and become consistent. This flywheel is exactly what we build inside your signature Get My Book Out There marketing system. We map it to your books, we map it to your genre, and we match it to your capacity. And what it means is that selling then stops becoming accidental. It actually becomes intentional. You know when you send out an email how many sales you're going to get. You know when you run ads what the sales numbers is going to look like. If you're interested, the link is below. I'd love for you to join me and the others in our group. So if sales have felt inconsistent or confusing or emotionally draining for you, it doesn't mean that you're doing everything wrong. It usually means that you're missing the framework and that you're missing the link between the pieces and what works for your genre, what works for you and for your business model. So good indie authors struggle to make sales when effort is disconnected. You like to understand the pieces. You like to know how it all fits together, so it makes sense. When everything works together, sales become calmer and steadier and much more predictable. And that isn't luck. That's actually structure.